Good morning. Can everyone hear me? Got most confirmation here. Alrighty. Good morning. We're about to get started on our next episode of Book and Cook today. Today we're going to make an elote-style cornbread. Really excited to cook this with you all. We usually don't do baking back to back, but just based on what's in season, we decided to bring back a cornbread and do another baked dish today. Is everybody ready to get started? And did anyone make cornbread with me 2 years ago? No, I think so. Awesome. Yeah, so it's been a while since we've done cornbread. This one's very different, a very different style and ingredients. So I'm just really excited to try this one out. I've tried it a few times now and it tastes really good. So I'm excited to share it with you all. We're going to get started and we already have our oven preheating. So if you don't have your oven going yet, please preheat it to 350. You can wait a little bit to do the first step where you put the butter in the dish. You can wait till your oven's preheated and just a few minutes till we're into the class. You don't want your butter to get too brown. So we'll get to that next, but make sure your oven's at 350 because we'll actually put together the cornbread pretty quickly today. Alrighty. Well, to get started, you're going to take your half stick of butter and you're just going to get your baking dish ready. You don't have to do a lot of, we're not coating it with the butter, but we're just going to put it right in the oven and the butter will melt. And then we're going to kind of move it around the pan before we put the cornbread mix in. And you'll probably need a parent or guardian to help you with that step because the pan will be hot. So just get that butter in the dish and I'm going to have one of my assistants put it into the oven for me. And you just want that in there for a few minutes to get the butter melted. And we'll kind of move on to the next steps. But if you haven't started your oven yet, you might need to wait a few minutes for your butter to melt. I think we're through that step. Okay, I'm going to take a smaller bowl and I'm going to put together our dry ingredients. We did do some more measuring for you all today just to cut down on how much packaging we use. So we'll start with the flour and the cornmeal. You can see that corn on the bottom, that cornmeal. Have you ever baked with cornmeal before? Yeah, you're getting some nods. Yeah, cornmeal is often used as like a breading. Sometimes people put it on tomatoes or I'm trying to think of what else, okra or other vegetables, like mixing cornmeal with spices and then usually they fry the vegetables. I'm trying to think of other uses for cornmeal. Does anyone have any other ways they've used cornmeal they want to share?
Fried fish.
Fried fish, yeah. Yeah, it is kind of it's a great crisp crust for fried food. Anyone else?
I've made cookies with it before.
You've made cookies? I think I have seen a few recipes. And what else was in the cookie?
It had like sugar. It's like kind of like a cornbread flavor.
Oh, a cornbread cookie. That's fun.
Cornmeal pie.
What'd you say?
Cornmeal pie.
Cornmeal pie. That sounds good. Well, Morris.
Cornmeal pancakes.
Cornmeal pancakes. Oh, you guys are really familiar with cornmeal. Yeah, that sounds good. So there's a bit of discussion on cornmeal in your book. So I haven't introduced the book quite yet, but we're using Welcome to Table. We're kind of referencing this book today. There's so many great pages in this book. And there were so many options for me to pick a recipe. And we've used this one other time before. But there's a whole little section on cornmeal up at the top on page 17. And it talks about polenta and a few other dishes that are made with cornmeal from other countries, like arepas. And I know there's different places you can get arepas in Evansville. And then, can anyone tell me some of the other things that were mentioned in the book before we move forward about amazing mates?
Adeline raised.
Adeline, you can unmute.
It mentions popcorn and bobota.
And what was the second thing?
Bobota is under cornmeal.
Other cornmeal. Yeah, there's a lot of different different like breads and cakes mentioned. It also talks a little bit about syrup and how corn syrup is made, which is used in a lot of different products. So there's definitely a lot of ways to use sweet corn and the corn that we eat. Some healthier than others, of course. You know, and I just think corn is really versatile. So there's definitely local popcorn you can get, and it's a great time to get local corn. All right. We're going to move on to making our batter today. So I'm going to put the dry ingredients in the small bowl, and then we're going to move it into a bigger bowl. I'm going to use this as my bigger bowl today so you guys can see it, knowing that you guys have two stainless steel bowls. So we're going to start with your mixture of flour and cornmeal, and we're just going to put that in there. These ones we measured all out for you today. I'll let you know if there's anything that you need to measure today. There will be a few things. Some of the ingredients, it's hard to give a little overage. It makes more sense to give you the right amount. We're not going to use this sugar just yet. We're going to use that later. So in this, all we need to do is put also your little baking soda and baking powder that we provided. So you can open both of those little satchels. These are also measured out for you by our lovely volunteers, so you can just pop that in there. And this is what's going to make your cornbread rise. This cornbread is a little bit denser. You'll see the batter is just a little bit thicker than cornbread that I've made in the past. But it's got these two, you know, baking soda and baking powder is what makes baked goods rise. So this is kind of what helps it get off the ground. All right. Okay, so we've got that all together. I'm just going to use, I think I have spoons somewhere. I'm just going to use a little spoon to get that all incorporated well. You always want to do your dry ingredients separate to get them all just mixed up really well, because it's harder to combine them when you have them with your wet ingredients. But this makes sure that baking soda and baking powder is all throughout your baked good. Okay. It's a lovely light yellow color. I think everyone looks like they're at that step. So now I'm going to get my big bowl. You'll end up putting your dry ingredients into this later, but we're going to get our wet ingredients started, and then we're going to move on to our corn. So you are going to have to measure your mayo, because there's some of it that's going to go toward your batter, and then some you'll use later for the sauce that goes on top. So mayo can be sometimes hard to measure out. We'll see how it goes. I am missing my quarter cup, I think. So I'm gonna go find one. Maybe. I thought I was unprepared, but I'm gonna use my quarter cup just because you need 3/4 cups. And I would use it 3 times. That's kind of the easiest way to do it, or you can obviously use a 1/2 cup and a 1/4 cup. I'm gonna assist my assistants. I'm going in the second thing down on the right, and they're all in there in a basket. Good luck, because all of the labels have come off of a lot of my measuring cups. Oh great, they're fantastic. They found one. We're all set to go. You guys are already probably working. I'm gonna get 3/4 cup of mayo into the bowl. So let me grab another spoon. And I'm just gonna kind of do them one at a time. It's okay if you get a little bit over. This is a really unique recipe because it primarily uses mayonnaise. And last time we did a cornbread, you know, we had milk and we had buttermilk and 3 eggs and a lot of different stuff. a really interesting technique, but I've seen mayonnaise used in a lot of different baked goods and it provides a lot of moisture. I've even seen a chocolate cake with mayonnaise used as like a binder. There's a really popular chain of restaurants in Chicago, and it was really scandalous when it came out and they heard that mayonnaise was used in the chocolate cake. But I think everyone got past that because it tastes so good. All right. So I've got 1, 2, 3. And make sure you're kind of filling it to the top and then making your next portion. And then you should have some left because you're going to use it for the sauce later. So I'm going to set that aside. I know it can be a little sticky. It's kind of like putting peanut butter into a measuring cup. It's really hard to get out. The next thing we're going to do, I think a few people are getting their mayonnaise still figured out. The next thing we're going to do is add the sugar. And then we're going to crack our 1 egg. Did everyone's egg make it safely to their destination? We tried really hard to get all the ingredients to you, so we tried to make a little egg carrier for you all. Did you see?
Viva's good.
Okay, awesome. You guys have local eggs today from 10 Barge Farm Stand. That's not listed here, but we did buy you all local eggs today. And I'm just gonna crack that. I think we've cracked eggs before, maybe not this year. You can either, I always use the table to be safe. Because sometimes when you crack it on the bowl, you get some shell right into it. So yeah, I'm gonna just crack it right here. And then carefully open it up. And I think all that should be in the bowl right now is your mayonnaise, your sugar, and your egg. So maybe I'll wait to get some thumbs up and make sure everything's in the bowl. Got some thumbs, okay. We're gonna move on to our corn in a second, but I'm gonna go ahead and just get this all combined. And just start mixing it up. It's not the prettiest mixture, but I know it's gonna taste good. So make sure your egg is fully incorporated. Everyone's working. Then we're gonna do a little bit of chopping for a little bit. All right, mine's all combined. I'm gonna set that aside. I see everyone stirring still a little bit. All right, I'm gonna get set up for our next step. Probably should have waited to have that nice clear bowl to show you. I'm gonna show you 2 different methods to cut your corn. Depending on how you're comfortable with it, you may need a parent or guardian to help you with the corn. But I do want you to give it a shot if you're comfortable. I'm gonna show you how you can use kind of a bowl within a bowl. So I did bring some extra bowls out today. I hope you guys have some extras lying around. I'm using a lot of bowls. And then we're gonna get our corn. And today our corn is from May's Farm Market. We've also been buying a lot of corn. Urban Seeds has been buying a lot of corn from 10 Barge Farm Stand too. Those are 2 great sources for some great sweet corn. And I am gonna just peel these back and start shucking my corn. We gave you all a little bit more than you needed. So you'll have some extra, but you can also use that for your decoration at the end. I have a little scrap bowl. I'm gonna put these in. And try not to get the silk everywhere. And I think I shared this back to the last time we did a cornbread recipe, where this is like the corn silk, and every single kernel has its own little piece of silk, and it has to get pollinated to make the entire corn have all full kernels. So each little kernel is attached to one of these strings. Isn't that interesting? I didn't know that until recently. Alrighty. I hope everyone's corn looks great. I'm gonna start. I have like one big ear and one small ear. I'm gonna start with my biggest ear. I'm gonna try to take all the little strings off that I can. Nobody wants to get that in their cornbread, but it'll also be hard to tell if you get a few in there. And my first method kind of is the best if you have a flat surface. So I'm just gonna cut this little edge off of the corn to make it flatter to sit on my bowl. So I'm just gonna do, let me see if I can move this. I've got my camera over here. And just cut off that tip and make it flat with your paring knife. It's actually a little hard to do. So that was just to make it flat. And then I am going to take the kernels off on top of this, and all the kernels will fall on the sides. So you have to be really careful, as always, when we're cutting, make sure your hand placement is really firm. And then I'll show you another way where you're just kind of laying the corn down and chopping it as well. But we'll do one. I'm gonna do both of them. Maybe I'll do the other one, the other method. But you're gonna start at the top, make sure you have a sturdy hand, and you're just gonna kind of go down the side and kind of just release those kernels. And you just have to do a really secure, safe motion. Probably hard to see in that camera just because I'm right-handed. And then you'll kind of rotate it around. And you want to get as close to the cob as possible so that you're getting the full kernel. Ooh, you don't have to start all the way at the top. So let's readjust our fingers a little bit. Maybe Morris, I want you to be very careful. So you don't have to start cutting at the top. I would hold the top and then start cutting about a quarter of the way down. And I know this can be scary if it's your first time, but it's a good skill to have. And you just take your time with it. And if this method is not working, we'll pivot to the other one really soon. So if this is feeling uncomfortable to you, I'll show you how to just lay it down. My kernels popped away. We'll show you how to lay it down because I don't want anyone's fingers to get clipped today. All right. So the other way I would do it is just kind of let me clean off my cutting board here. I'm going to take my other, I'm going to also, and I'm just going to kind of lay it down. I find this to be a little harder, but I'm just going to kind of run my knife down the side and cut them off that way. But like I said, if you need a parent or guardian help, this would be the time to ask for help. I find this to be a little bit more difficult, but it's not, you can definitely control it a little easier. Okay, I've got enough corn. You only really need a third of a cup for the recipe, and then you'll have some that goes on top too. So you may have a little extra, but that's okay. We wanted to give you the option to practice. All right, I'm gonna try to get all of my cutting board cleaned up and all my corn into this bowl. And then we're going to cut a little bit of cilantro. I see everyone's still figuring out their corn technique. Thanks for giving it a shot. I'm gonna get my cilantro ready to go. so much.
Do you know which bowl did you put it in?
So I have not measured it out yet. I did use a separate bowl. I should have told you to bring an extra one for just the corn. But we will measure it out.
Thank you.
We're gonna set some aside to use as a topping, and then we'll measure an amount to put into the batter. Because you should have plenty with those 2 ears. All right. Is everyone ready to move on to cilantro? No. We're still
Yes.
we're still working on corn. That's a thumbs down on the corn. I always want to give you the opportunity to attempt some cutting and knife skills, but I know this one's kind of can be a harder one. Is there some corn eating happening? The corn is super sweet, so I don't blame you if you take a little bite. Actually, you should take a little bite. Morris is just gonna eat all his corn topping. All right. All right, I'm gonna move down, and onto cilantro. All right, so everyone got a little bag of cilantro. And if you haven't rinsed it, you can just quickly rinse it if you'd like. And then I'm gonna start taking the leaves off. I think the recipe actually says you can use some stems too, which is always possible with fresh herbs. Some of the stems are edible and they taste good. I'm gonna take off the leaves just to chop a few up. Let me see, I think we only need about 2 tablespoons. Let me see, let me make sure. 2 tablespoons of cilantro. So I'm gonna try to get the majority of my leaves together, and maybe some of the thinner stems can also go in. But I'm gonna take out some of the bigger cilantro stems like this. So I'm gonna get all my herbs just gathered in a little pile. When you're cutting herbs, it's easier to kind of clump them together. And then try to kind of cut through them. So I'll give you a few moments to just sort through your cilantro. And obviously take out any parts that look bad or that, look a little wet. Sometimes there's just always like a few leaves that go bad. So if they're like light yellow or they have some dark color to it, you can take that and just put it to the side. We're getting there. And then we're just gonna kind of group them up a little bit. I like to make a little roll of whatever herb I'm cutting and just kind of group it up into a little area on your cutting board. And then you kind of have to drag your knife through them. It can be a little hard to also mince cilantro, but and just be careful with your fingers. I know I'm not always choosing the easiest ingredients to cut, but just kind of, it's okay if they also stay mostly whole. You just need to cut them up into smaller pieces and they'll be incorporated a little bit throughout the batter. And then we'll also use it as a topping. So whatever kind of, however small you want to make it, it's okay. And also if you leave them bigger. Honestly, sometimes I also just like to rip a few pieces up that end up being bigger after I cut through them. Does everyone like cilantro when they have it on like tacos or other things? Or is that a new flavor for you? Has anyone had cilantro and worked with it before?
I have.
Awesome. What do you like to, how do you like to use it?
We use it in salsa.
In salsa, yeah, that's always good. Yeah, very common, obviously, in Mexican cuisine. That's kind of what we're working on today.
We put it on tacos.
Tacos, yes, of course. yeah, kind of traditional tacos, you know, they always ask if you want onion and cilantro. Those are kind of the more traditional toppings. You know, a lot of us also like cheese and other things too. Okay, well, my cilantro is looking pretty well broken up. I didn't cut it into very fine pieces, just kind of rough chopped it. And just kind of cut little pieces. It can be hard with your small knife. And so we're gonna set some of that aside. I'm just gonna set like a little cluster of it aside. And you're supposed to put like, not on my egg plate, some other plate. You're supposed to keep like about half of it for your topping later, and then the other half we're gonna put in the batter. So I don't think we've done all the combining yet, but we're about there. We've done our corn, we've done our cilantro, and we're also gonna need our red container of our cotija cheese. And this is also a very traditional Mexican ingredient. It's more of a fresh cheese. And you can find it in local stores pretty easily. I found it at the West Side Walmart. So they do have it pretty accessible, even at like a Walmart. You don't necessarily have to go to a Mexican grocery store. And so what we're gonna do is first, let's see, I'm gonna kind of do a little bit all at once. I'm gonna do first, I'm gonna put my dry ingredients into my wet ingredients. If you've already done that, that's okay. And I'm gonna give that a mix. It'll start to come together. It will get pretty thick. Gonna mix it up, and then soon we're gonna add some of our fresh ingredients we just prepared. So yeah, it's starting to thicken up.
The texture of the batter kind of reminds me of pudding.
Yeah, it's definitely thicker. I was really surprised. But we'll see how it kind of puffs up a little bit later. All right. And when you're mixing, I always recommend like scraping the bowl down on the sides and on kind of like scraping the bottom too, so that everything is really well incorporated. All right. Now we're gonna add all our mix-ins. I want to take one moment just to remind you that if you have your pan in the oven with your butter, that you can take it out, because we'll be putting the batter in that very soon. And like I said, the pan's going to be hot, so if you need some help putting the batter into the butter and the dish, this might be time to ask for help. So before we do that, we're gonna measure out some of our corn. I think I saw a few of you already doing that. It asks for 1/3 of a cup of fresh corn. This looks right. You know, if you put a little extra, that's okay too. But make sure you
How
fill
much
your.
is supposed to be in the pan?
Excuse me?
How much butter is supposed to be in the pan?
Oh, the full amount. So the full amount we gave you. It is kind of a lot. But it does kind of create an environment where the cornbread kind of cooks in the butter and it makes it super crispy.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Sorry, I should have mentioned that. Yeah, that's why we did give you the exact amount of butter to use. So I've got my corn. I'm gonna put that right into my batter, and I've got a little bit more to put on top later. I'm gonna set that aside, and then I'm gonna do that other about a tablespoon or about half of my cilantro into the pan, the bowl. And then with the cheese, we also want to reserve a little bit of that. I think it has you reserve about 2 tablespoons. So you can either take that out and put it aside, which maybe I'll do that because I will use this as my little flavor station later. So I'm going to take about 2 tablespoons out of my cotija cheese container. and put it on my little topping station over here. And I'm gonna put the rest into the bowl. Did everyone see that step with me?
Yeah.
Okay.
You said 2 tablespoons?
Yeah, I took about 2 tablespoons out and just set it aside because you're gonna sprinkle that on later, and then the rest goes into your batter. All right, so you should have corn, cilantro, and some of your cheese that's also incorporated, and then you're gonna mix that all in. Are you all set, Morris? Yeah, awesome. So let's make sure all our little green leaves are fully incorporated. Our corn. It's a really interesting recipe. I often don't put herbs in a batter. So this was kind of a fun one to see. All right. Now I'm going to bring over my baking dish. Like I said, mine is probably still a little warm. So I'm going to use my oven mitts to just bring it over. And like I said, this recipe is really interesting. So we've got the butter that I'm going to kind of roll around a little bit in the pan. Like I said, you may need a parent or guardian to help you with this. And the batter is kind of interesting too. It's because it's so dense, it almost doesn't really even fill the pan. It'll puff up later though and fill out. So you may need some help because there's sticky batter trying to get into this dish. But you're just going to kind of start plopping it into different sections. Get it in the pan any way you can. And if you see on your recipe, it does say that, you know, the butter may start pooling on even on top of your batter, and that's okay. So I kind of just am putting it in different spots, and then we'll try to smooth it out as best as possible.
Did you already add your cilantro to your batter?
Yes, I added about half of what we cut. So there should be about a tablespoon in the batter, and then you save about a tablespoon to go on top. Kind of as an extra, just little topping. The recipe says to use an offset spatula, which most people do not have. So I'm just going to use my spatula the best as possible and not touch my pan. And just kind of work it into the corners a little bit. It's okay if it doesn't stretch all the way to every side of the pan, because it'll expand. Like I said, it kind of looks funny now, but just wait till it's all finished. It looks fantastic. Okay. So I'm gonna grab, let me get this last little thing of batter off. We want every little bit. Maybe another utensil. I should just tell you all to have multiple utensils around. All right, I got every little bit. Has everyone been working this stuff, getting it into their pan? All right, I'm sure you're doing that off screen, closer to your oven. And I'm gonna have my assistant come back and put it in the oven. Thank you. And that'll go in the oven for about 20 to 25 minutes. I hope that I'm gonna get to see your cornbread before we're finished today, but we may be a little tight. So I did do a backup cornbread, just to show you guys, just in case we're not quite done, because it does take 20 to 25 minutes. And you're gonna wait till it's nice and golden brown on top. How's our demo look looking? Great. Well, we can just, maybe we should put it in like a few more minutes. Okay. We're gonna, yeah, we want the top like brown and crispy. So we're gonna finish up our cornbread for our demo. But while your cornbread's in the oven, we're gonna work on the other topping, which is this lovely lime crema that I want to eat on so many things now. It's pretty simple, but it's really impactful. So we are going to start with the rest of our mayonnaise, wherever it is, right here. And let me make sure I'm giving you the right ratios, because sometimes I forget the recipe. And hopefully you have about 3 tablespoons left of mayonnaise. If you're a little short, that's okay. We gave you like, I think a full cup, and you should be able to get both measurements done. So I'm gonna fill up and do my 3 tablespoons of mayonnaise. I hope you reserved some and didn't put the whole amount in. So we'll do 1. And like I said, they don't necessarily need to be so exact as I'm doing. Just using this spoon to fill it up. Even my mayo is a little tight. So I might not even use my measuring spoon for the rest, or I'm gonna try to get the rest of this out of my container and get that last tablespoon in there. Oh, there we go. Yeah, should be just right. It should be basically the rest of your mayo in your container. Okay. And then the next ingredient is just going to be your sour cream. This one also I recommend measuring. We might have put a little extra in there for you. And hopefully it's not short. Once again, I'm going to use the same one because it's okay. We're going to wash both. And you should get about 2 tablespoons of that too. But it's a sauce, so you don't always have to be super exact with sauces. But this one too, you probably have just enough. So I'm just going to scoop the rest of this into my bowl, the rest of my sour cream. Even if you put a little extra sour cream, it's going to be just fine. And then we're going to move on to our limes. And I'm going to roll mine out a little bit. Sometimes that helps get the juices flowing in the lime. And then I realize I'm going to have to, well, first, if you have an opportunity to zest or the right tool, you can add some lime zest. It's really hard to do with the paring knife. I see some have tools, which is why I wanted to give you the option. I also have a zester, but it's okay if you don't have it. It's not going to change the flavor too much. It does give you some nice little green flecks in your sauce. So if you don't have one, it's really okay. It can be hard to get any of the skin off if you don't have the right tool. Sometimes there's a side of like a cheese grater that you can use that might give you also the small amount. So I do have one. I'm just going to add a little bit. And like I said, it's really okay if you don't have the right tool. We're also going to add the juice. So you just kind of work your way around the lime until it gets really bright. And you just kind of get that deep green little skin right into your sauce. I'm not really going to measure it, just a little bit. It says, I think, zest of half a lime. So as long as you've got some little green flecks in it, it'll add definitely an aroma to your sauce. A little limey citrus aroma. All right. I see some zesting going on. Sometimes you got to get the back of it to make sure that you get the zest from the back of your zester. And then I realize I'm going to need my cutting board really quick again, just to cut that lime in half. So I put my hands on either side to make sure they're really secure and just to do a nice cut down the middle. It can be also tough to cut citrus, but give that your best shot or ask for some help. All right, this lime's already waking me up. So it smells really good. Thank you guys for trying some of your knife skills. I know it can be hard to cut through different materials. And it's always okay to ask for help. I ask for help all the time. So I'm just going to go ahead and squeeze this right in. I'm not going to do a lot of measuring for my lime, just because I also like sauce limey. So if you don't like the lime flavor that much, you can definitely measure the two teaspoons. But I think if you juice about half your lime, you're gonna be right there. I don't see any seeds in these limes, so I think you're gonna be okay there, but you can keep an eye out for seeds. Sometimes it's nice to, yes, you can put the zest right in there. I kind of did mine over the bowl. Sometimes you can also squeeze it through your fingers so that you catch the seeds. And I see some juicers are coming out, so I'm gonna do half my lime. Some of the limes also were a bit tough, so I hope you can get a lot of juice out of them. I don't have any napkins, but we're gonna use my apron here. And that's really it for the sauce. It's a nice little lime sauce that we're gonna drizzle on top. And we're just gonna combine that in the bowl. And you want to mix it till it becomes really cohesive. The lime juice is going to make it definitely a little bit more runny and thinner, which is exactly what we want. And then I think the recipe accidentally says paprika, but I did buy you guys the tahini. This is what the bottle looks like. That is like a citrusy chili pepper. You can eat the lime. I mean, you can eat the lime if you want to. I love like lime in my water. It's really refreshing. I love like a lime water. And yeah, back to my tahini. So we have this in a little container for you. Please don't use it all. I give you a little extra just in case you like the flavor and want to use it on something else. I don't know if I made myself one, but I'm just gonna add like a little bit to my sauce. So I think you guys have about a whole teaspoon, and actually I can probably, well, those are dirty. I'm just gonna put a little bit, so you can do a little sprinkle in your sauce, and then most of it you can use to just sprinkle on the top after the cornbread's cooked. I wouldn't say that it's really spicy. It kind of has like a citrus peppery flavor, and you're welcome to try a little bit. I might try a little bit, and you can kind of test how that flavor feels for you. I was gonna go hands in. I probably will. So I'm just gonna try a little bit, and it's gonna wake you up for sure. Because it's actually more citrusy, almost more than like the chili pepper part.
Someone asked, what was that again?
This is the seasoning. So you all received it in like a small red packet, and it has that red color to it. And it's basically made of chili peppers and salt and actually dehydrated lime juice, which is why it's so zingy. I really like the flavor, and I actually grew up eating it on like mangoes or melon, like cantaloupe. It's really nice when you pair it with sweet things, just like the sweet corn that we're using today. So my sauce is looking good. I've got a little bit of that tahini, that red chili pepper in it. If you're nervous about the chili pepper, you don't need to include it. You can also just sprinkle it later on people's, portions if they like chili pepper. So it's really nice to use later if you'd like. Did anyone try a little bit of it? What do you think? Has anyone had that seasoning before? Yeah, Morris is not. No.
Because I do not like chili pepper.
Yeah, it's really interesting, I think, with the combination of the chili and the citrus. I always think the best spicy dishes are the ones that are really well-rounded, and also have like citrus and other components to it. All right, your sauce is basically done. And so at this point, you're primarily waiting for your cornbread to be done. I'm gonna finish out my cornbread, and I'm gonna show you how to top it. So let's see. This is what it's gonna end up looking like when it's all done. You guys will probably be done very soon, in like 10 minutes or so. But this is how your cornbread will turn out, and I'm gonna kind of show you just how to top it with your other seasonings and then finish it. So what the instructions tell you to do is to kind of start doing like a thin layer across the cornbread. of this sauce. And you're just gonna have to watch me and then do it later, but I know you're gonna do it really soon. So it just kind of has you do a thin layer across the top because it's gonna help the rest of the ingredients stick to the cornbread. And you'll see it's kind of gonna look, it'll look pretty beautiful. And this is mostly the layer to just help the cheese and the cilantro stick on and your extra corn. And then you can, I still have a lot of sauce left and you'll kind of use that to drizzle on top. So we're gonna take the rest of the ingredients and just start to layer them. I think I'm actually gonna do the corn first. So I'm gonna go back to my extra corn. If you have any left, because I know you guys might just eat through it by the time this step comes. But I'm just gonna sprinkle that corn on top. And I like to get a little bit everywhere. This is like the most important part, the presentation and the taste, obviously. But have you guys ever heard the phrase, you eat with your eyes?
No.
No. That just means that, you know, presentation can make you really excited about a dish and it's all a part of the experience of eating a new food. Okay, then we're gonna do the cilantro. So we're gonna get, you know, a little bit, you want a little bit like on each square that you're gonna serve to people. I'm going to a party later and I think this is what I'm bringing. And then we're gonna do more cheese. And I didn't have a ton of corn left. It's, if you have a lot left, honestly, I like to put it all on the top. And then you can go back and do a little bit more sauce if you need to. Sometimes I'll just do like some drizzles on top. The cornbread's pretty sweet, and really the toppings kind of help balance it out and provide a freshness to it. So, you know, once you have that chili with the sweet cornbread, it really balances it out and it's not very spicy, but it's well spiced and there's a really big difference. And then, like I said, I'm going to use my little container again just to show you what it looks like in the store, but you can use another little sprinkle of your tahini seasoning on top. My favorite part. So I'm just going to sprinkle it across. Very strong smell. I'm excited and I'm not going to touch it. Keep forgetting, but I shouldn't. And so I'm just going to let you guys see it close up and then I'm going to get someone to come try it with me. So that's kind of what it, oh, there we go. We're like moving there. That's what it looks like close up. It looks really pretty. It looks really nice when you portion it out. So let's see. I did not grab a knife. I can use my corn lime knife. And I don't realize how many utensils you need when you cook, guys. There's so many. All right, I'm gonna cut mine into little portions to see how it is. And I'm gonna get a spatula from one of my friends. And who's maybe the friend that's gonna come try it. Yeah, anything that or a bit more like a one I can wedge this out with. If there is one, maybe that dark, gray one. They'll find one. You've got some time. Okay, let's see what size they're gonna get. I can tell they're all really excited to come on camera and try it with me. They love getting on camera on Saturday morning, just like I do. All right, here, I'll show it to you again as a single piece, because you know, it's not the thickest cornbread. I feel like we need some cilantro on that one. Okay, I've got some forks I haven't used yet, I promise. I told you guys, I'm not very clean. I'm not setting a good example to show you guys how to have a clean table. But this is kind of what it's gonna look like. It'll be about that thick, and then you've got the toppings on top. Sometimes when you serve it to people, it's really nice to do like an extra little seasoning on the plate. But I'm gonna have my friend come join me and try it, and I know you guys are gonna be able to try it very soon. I was hoping we might get very close on time here, but I was worried we'd run out of time. So we are going to just give it a little shot. Did you smell?
Yeah, I want to know.
Yeah.
Mm, you're
Really
right. The toppings like make it.
You know, seems like standard old cornbread, but then I really like to get a lot of the sauce. I'm not gonna lie. It's not the same to me without the sauce. It's a little limey, and then you get a little chili after. I think it's a great snack, and I hope you guys like it. Are you guys excited to try it? Yeah, everyone looks excited. All right, well, we
Yeah.
look forward to seeing your photos. Before I go, I want to talk a little bit about the discussion questions that we sent along with you. And I want to see if there's anything else you guys explored in this book that you want to share with me before you go.
Scones. Remember the scones?
Yes, the scones. How did everyone like their scones? I
Good.
didn't.
They were good.
Oh,
My
got
whole
it.
family liked it.
Awesome. I love the enthusiasm. I thought they were great too. Everyone loved the scones. Awesome. Did they come out beautifully? My
Yeah.
favorite was like the little crispy topping with the sugar.
Yes.
That's yeah, and the blueberries. So that will definitely be a recipe I go back to again and again. But thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you all coming on every Saturday, once a month. I've got a great crew. I feel like that comes on every month for my live Zoom. So I really appreciate it. I hope you like this cornbread too. And please send us photos because I want to see how yours turns out. Any questions before?
Thank you.
I know your timers are
so
gonna
much.
start soon. Thank you so much and enjoy.
Bye.
Bye.